welcome everybody. Welcome to AI Live. We're getting this off to a fun start. We're having fun doing this kind of a casual show, and thank you for tuning in. We kind of want to keep it casual. Tonight we have something really, really special to share with you. But first,
how was your weekend?
I want to know how your weekend was. What did you do this weekend, Gideon?
Good. I got to eat.
You always eat. If you guys know Dr. Guns and Needles, it's food.
Always
you
about
follow his
food.
stories, and it's like just the most amazing food ever.
And shoes. Food and shoes. Really, it is.
So what did you do for food? What did you do?
We actually found a local sushi chef that came to our house and did a private dinner. So I had me and my brother and sister-in-law and my best friend and her husband, and we had an amazing sushi experience. So that was good. That was good.
Did they bring live things?
Of course they brought live things. They had live shrimp.
I
know you don't like
No,
sushi.
I can't do the raw stuff.
Japanese food is so amazing. So amazing. So that's fun.
I can't do the raw stuff. No.
Oh,
I could do California rolls.
I'll get you to there. I'll get you to there. I've slowly gotten her. Did you try beef tongue one time?
I did try that. Was that a Korean? Was that a Korean barbecue?
Korean barbecue.
Yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
See? Slowly. I'm going to keep working on it.
I'm not doing the raw thing. Microbiology ruined me for raw stuff. It ruined me for raw stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Even my parents keep talking to me. They keep sending me articles like, oh, these parasites and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, well.
See?
The Japanese people are still alive. They keep eating it.
I know.
It's all over.
I don't know how they pick the fish that don't have the parasites. There must be a trick to it.
It must be.
Not going there. Not going there.
What else did we do this weekend? We were busy this weekend, right?
This weekend was a total teaching weekend. So Saturday we had our Foundations of Advanced Aesthetic course. It was awesome.
It was a good group.
We had the people who had, for our Foundations of Advanced Aesthetics, we now have the 8-hour course online. It's 19 modules, right?
Good luck.
It's a lot of stuff. It's so much information. So they took the modules at their own time and took the test, and then that allows them to come here and do the hands-on. Yep. So we had a group and we did hands-on. That was all day Saturday.
It was all day.
Yeah.
They did great.
They did really good.
They all brand new injectors, and they all did actually really great.
They did really, really good.
They know about safety. They know how to inject, and so keep practicing.
Yep.
Keep practicing. I mean, that's what we need to do in this industry. Learn about anatomy, learn about safety, and then start learning and playing, and that's where you're gonna keep growing, get your experience. I think it really is having that education and then having someone kind of keep pushing you, keep guiding you. So that's what we're here for, right?
Right. And you need to keep pushing yourself. I mean, you really do. You can't just sit back on your laurels and think that the specialty is that you go to one course and think you know it all. You don't, and you'll never get better, and you'll never be safer.
It's constantly changing. There's always new research coming out, new treatments. I mean, even like threads that we'll talk a little bit about. Some great courses that we'll be having. Even that is an evolution that I think in the U.S. will really take off. It's in its infancy here, but around the world, it's actually very, very popular.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be a battle, as always, with anything that gets started. But I think that it will settle down when the dust settles. Everybody will be doing a combination of it all, because I think it is something that will be very, very useful for your patients in that sense. So
yeah, I think combo treatments, combo modalities are the name of the game.
Yeah. This day and age is all combo, from understanding the different levels and understanding how you're aging and what levels you're really trying to address. I think that is the key to the game, and really helping patients look natural, to really what we call gracefully age. I think you can do a much better job in the non-surgical realm. Same with surgical. The surgeries have evolved, and so they've gotten a lot better to help patients look more natural and gain a lot more confidence in that. I think we are able to start doing that even more so in our non-surgical world. So look out. There's even more coming down the road.
And talking about that, we have more classes coming up. On September 8th, we have a webinar that's on PDO threads. So I will be doing it along with an RN, Rio Calvert, who is an international trainer in threads. And that will be on Tuesday, September 8th. And then after that, on the 26th, what do we have going?
26th, we are actually putting our specialty threads course out there. So you and I will be teaching people how to actually get hands-on with thread. So we actually spent the time recording, I think, a couple of modules that you guys can get online and literally learn everything that we kind of know about threads. And then once you get to do that, then you can sign up. And then I think at the end of the month, it's September 26th, we're actually having our actual hands-on precepting where you get to really learn how to do these threads, because I think, to me, having done them now for a couple of years, it really is an experiential thing. As much as like fillers you thought were difficult in their own way, threads is literally taking it to the next level. You really need to know your levels. You have to understand the different threads, and so that's what that course is for. So it's we have our virtual didactic portion, and then we have our in-house. You can either join observationally wise, you can do our actual hands-on course. So look on our website, www.theaestheticimmersion.com. If you are interested, you can ask questions, email us if you want to learn more about what the course is all about. But it's a very limited space, as Lori and I really tout. When we're doing education, we really try and make it a much more one-on-one experience that you really do get hands-on, one-on-one. It's not cattle herding where you go to a course and it's like, okay, this is what it's all about. Go and stick it yourself. We're literally over your shoulder and really guiding your hand.
We're holding your hand.
A little bit too much mama bear, but it's okay.
But I mean, I think that's why we call it the aesthetic immersion. And not to like sell our courses or anything, but that's one thing that you and I feel very strongly about is we want to be there and guide you and help you and give you that really good learning experience. And you can't do that in a group setting.
No.
You need to be one-on-one, guiding, touching, pushing, you get the feel of everything. So I think that's where we think that this is so, so important for everybody.
For sure. Righty. So, if you have any questions on that, feel free to jump on our website or on Instagram and ask us questions about it. What else?
So we have an AI Live.
Month.
Our next AI Live is going to be October 6th. So the first Tuesday of every month is this show. And we are going to have a special guest on with us. His name is Daniel Lee, and he is the National Sales Manager for Mint Threads. So this is he's huge. This is huge. And we do use a lot of Mint Threads in our practices. We really, really like them. And you're a trainer and KOL and done a lot of trainings for Mint Threads.
Yep.
But we're going to talk about the techniques, the new threads that have come out, a lot of kind of how Hans Biomed got started, about a special, huge conference that's coming up that you guys need to sign up for. And go ahead and explain the VI mess.
This is the virtual international, essentially Mint user kind of conference. It really, really is going to be a fun, entertaining. There's some really good lectures.
Amazing.
They're actually having... I don't know if I can say this, but let the cat out of the bag. They're actually having a cadaver course over virtual, so you'll get to see actually threads being placed and what levels they're being placed. So this is going to be a very interactive, and if you join now before September 30th, it will only be $49, and it's an 9-hour day. Different people talking about different types of threads. You'll get to see a lot of live demonstrations. You'll get to see the cadaver. We're going to go over adverse events and how to manage those things. So it's for everybody, honestly. People who are using threads, people who have not used threads, so they can start learning about threads. So it's only $49. If you want to join, I think you can reach out to us at www.theaestheticimmersion.com. But it's going to be a great conference. I mean, this is the first kind of thread conference that really is going to kind of be out there. So hopefully you guys will want to learn about it and join. It's only $49.
I can't believe it's $49. It's 8 hours
Yeah.
of everything about threads.
Yep.
So, of course, Mint sponsors this, and they're putting this on, and Aesthetic Immersion is really helping to produce it. So it's just, this is awesome. So, think about that. Sign up for it while it's only $49, and you'll have a whole day of amazing thread education and a cadaver, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, that we always talk about cadaver labs with injections and how important that really, really is. So this is taking it even to a next level with threads. I don't think anybody's done a thread course with a cadaver head. Yeah. So this will be really, really cool. Even I'm excited about this. All right. And I think the last kind of thing that we have to go over as far as housekeeping is our new webinar bundle. It is $697. So $697 instead of it being $1397. It's $700 off, and the code is new bundle. New bundle is the code, and you'll get different courses on their webinars. So laser physics, the lip, the advanced neuromodulator, how to inject the nose. That one is a really good one because I know a lot of you guys want to. Yeah. Ears, hand lobes, body sculpting, and then of course the facial difference between males and females. You don't want to definitely need to understand how to artistically inject your patient so you don't screw them up and make them look like a different gender.
Right.
So check out our webinar bundle series. It is new bundle if you are interested in that. And we get to finally move on to our special guest.
So I get to introduce a friend of mine, and let me tell you how we kind of met. A few years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was, probably 3 or more. I got a phone call when I was driving my car one day, and I usually don't answer phone calls that I don't know who they come from. And I picked up my phone, and this sweet, calm voice said, "Hi, Lori. This is Carol. I just thought I would call you." And she kind of started to say a little bit about her story, and I'm like, I don't know if this is true. I'm not sure what's going on. And the more I talked to her, she had, I think, seen my Instagram and gave me a call, and we started chatting and have become friends since. And she is an inspiration to me. And she called me because she's gone through HE double toothpicks with adverse events with fillers, things that had been done in the past. And she's gone through so many trials and tribulations with surgeries. And we're going to talk to her about that, with the different surgeries and how she's gone through something that was very, very frightening, and a process that was very, very frightening, and how she's come out on the good side. And she's here to tell her story. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to welcome Carol Bryan. Thank you, Carol, for coming.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
We're excited. We definitely need the practitioners to understand how what they do can impact a patient. We kind of sometimes take it for granted in our field. Hey, you're not going to cause really much damage, and you're not going to have any issues with regards to it. And it's taught nowadays more so. We talk about vascular occlusions and a lot of those things nowadays, but I don't think people really delve into how it does impact a patient when you do have a poor outcome, and really, really take every patient not lightly, but know that you are making an impact into every single patient that you touch. Mm-hmm. And so thank you for coming and sharing your story.
Of course.
Carol is she's demanded quite a bit. Everybody likes to have her around the world. So thank you she travels a lot telling her story and sharing it. She was in Europe last, weren't you?
I was in London. I spoke at the Royal Society of Aesthetic Medicine to some of the, finest doctors in the world. And it was my honor and privilege to be able to address where it starts. I mean, it doesn't start with the consumer. It starts with the doctor, the expert that's supposed to be, trained well before he ever lays hands on a human being's face.
Right.
So it gave me the opportunity to sort of changed the way these doctors saw a face.
Yep.
Which is, I'm sure, was impactful.
Just by telling, the story of how important it is to before you touch someone, you make sure you know what you are doing. You make sure you know your anatomy. You make sure that you've had more than enough hands-on training. That's why I love so much what you are doing.
Thank you.
Your training is very comprehensive compared to other facilities and organizations and symposiums. I mean, they're wonderful, but it's not enough. You need intensive training.
Yeah, I
Definitely
agree.
know that. Definitely know that.
I agree. I want to kind of go back, and I want to kind of take you back a few years. You used to work in aesthetics, so kind of tell me what your role was in aesthetics, in the aesthetic field, because that's kind of where you were.
It was. So I managed several aesthetic practices and oversaw all of the operations of the practices, the employees, how things were, from start to finish, from when a person entered the facility to the consult, to then being brought to the physician, and I stayed up to date with all of the newest and latest technologies and innovations, and this was at the very forefront of aesthetics.
Nice.
And
around what time frame was this?
I want to say, so I had, before I got into the field, I had begun to occasionally have Botox.
Okay.
I was in my, the latter end of my 30s.
Okay.
And it was just for the 11 lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go get Botox, and it was great, and it was very subtle. And so I believe maybe it was 2004, 2005,
Okay.
something along
Mm-hmm.
that time frame. And little by little, new procedures and new doctors were coming up with all sorts of, new things, peels for all skin types, and just the laser was becoming popular, and the hair,
Fillers
everything.
Yeah.
That bouquet was just blossoming.
Right.
So I got involved, and I loved the field, and I felt like really confident and safe,
Mm-hmm.
And that that it was a good thing that was happening. It was not necessarily. It was the first step for someone to do something to basically stay in the game and do something subtle without going and having a surgery.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gain a little confidence.
So
Yeah.
Because we all
And it
start to
was-
lose a little bit
it
as we
was all
age.
supposed to be like gentle, and it did. Some people took it to the extreme, unfortunately, and it sort of gave it a bad rap.
Yep, for sure.
Which for good reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we see
So-
that. Hopefully, we're kind of coming back. We're reeling that back in nowadays.
So.
People are more aware of too much in certain places, and
Well, yes, because if you're going to do something, you need to be informed,
Yeah.
and you need to make sure you're doing it, in the right place.
Right.
With, you have to ask a lot of questions before you ever, place yourself in the hands of someone who would either enhance or maybe alter to a certain degree your appearance. I
Right.
mean, your face is your calling card, and it's what God gives you. Your face is His masterpiece, and it's all in those details. There's no defects. People don't have defects, and society has made beauty something that I don't, for me, what I've gone through, I've learned what true beauty really is now. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way. But true beauty transcends the physical for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is very,
Absolutely.
very true.
Yes.
So tell me, how did everything kind of get started for you? You got a little bit of Botox, then a little bit of fillers, and kind of lead us into
Story.
the story of kind of when things kind of went wrong.
Right. So I was really just having Botox, and it was interesting because some people can have Botox and it might last for 3 months. Some people it might last for 6 months. Some people 9 months. My Botox actually lasted for almost 12 months.
Wow.
And a lot of that was like, because I didn't necessarily blow dry my hair. So because heat does affect the longevity of Botox. And I didn't go and bask in the sun. And so it lasted me a little bit longer than most people. But I did go for Botox, and I did go to doctors that I believe to be experts in the field, trained experts, and I, they were entertaining the thought of fillers, facial fillers, which I knew a lot about,
Okay.
for loss of volume.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think that there was anything wrong with that. And if it was done, safely, with the right amounts, in the places that it should be indicated for. So, I thought I knew
What you were
enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my trust in these doctors that I believed to be experts in their field. And I decided to go ahead with what I thought would be a very simple, subtle procedure. And it was only one session.
And where were you injected on your face?
So I was. I'm a little bit needle phobic, and
We all are.
No, right?
We all are.
I hate needles.
I was administered nitrous oxide.
Okay.
At that time, that was like a thing. I don't know a lot of practices that are doing that.
I
Now
have
we,
it.
Now we all are.
It's called Pronox. We love it.
Oh,
Now we
okay,
all
good.
are.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's a mix. It's not
That's
all nitrous
awesome.
oxide, but
Yeah.
we use it all the time. And you have it in your clinic
Yes.
too. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I was given nitrous oxide, but I don't know, it was a really heavy dose of nitrous oxide. I mean, I was very anxious and nervous, and that helped me relax.
Mm-hmm.
And what I believed was happening was I believed I was getting some fillers in my cheek area
Okay.
and again,
Volume enhanced.
minuscule amount.
Okay.
For loss of volume. But I already had high cheekbones, so I mean, it was just like, okay, I'm going to try this.
And you trusted their suggestion.
I trusted their suggestion. No one forced me.
Mm-hmm.
I did climb into that chair on my own accord. I was encouraged and kind of persuaded, like, you really should do this. It's not a big deal, and
Right.
I think you'll be happy. And so I did. And right away, I had the normal side effects, which are bruising, swelling. There was a period of time. So I believed I was being injected with a temporary filler.
Okay.
And what were you actually being injected with?
I didn't find this out until later. So initially my face would a little bit kind of expand and contract and then go back down. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. I was really just expecting the bruising and the swelling. And one day I just, and it took like almost close to 3 months before my face just kind of blew up and,
Wow.
and became extremely inflamed. And I did go back to the doctors, and that's when I was informed that I was injected with permanent fillers.
Wow.
One being silicone,
Which is not legal
which is
in
not
the United
legal,
States.
and I believe that the other one at the time was called Artifil,
Yep. Now called Bellafil.
now called
Okay.
Bellafil.
Which is it's called polymethylmethacrylate,
Yep.
and it's like a powdered plasticky kind
Powdered
of
plastic,
a
yeah.
material. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it
And that is legal now in the United States. The Bellafil.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
still used
They still
by a
use
lot
it.
of
It's
people.
still being used. Yeah.
And okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard that it is. I don't know that how I feel about that
Yeah.
necessarily.
You're
but
on the other side.
I'm
yeah.
on the other
So
side.
I'm glad we're
I'm
listening
on the
to
other
you.
side of
Yeah.
that. But for sure, I can say that no permanent filler, in my opinion, should be used on a human being
Yeah.
anywhere.
Agree.
I would
I think
completely
we're in
agree.
agreement with
Anywhere.
you.
So it seems that I wasn't only injected in the cheek area, during this session, which maybe lasted less than 10 minutes.
Whoa.
I believe,
It was only 10 minutes?
there was
Wow.
injections given to me in my forehead area,
Okay.
my jawline, and I didn't really ask. I didn't ask the questions I should have asked, honestly, before I got in the chair, and when I went back with what I considered to be a complication, an adverse reaction,
Mm-hmm.
the doctors said, that it was an inflammatory reaction, and that it was going to be fine, but they did inform me I was injected with permanent fillers. I got nervous. I was, of course, scared
Yeah.
of what the future held, and the doctors then basically started doing these corrective procedures, which entailed trying to give me a nerve block on the forehead area, or giving me a nerve block on the forehead area that never really worked all the way.
Okay.
And they were injecting me with dissolving agents. And
Dissolving agents to dissolve the silicone and the PMMA.
the product, because it's permanent. It's
Yeah.
not dissolvable, really.
Right.
I don't know any of the
Yeah.
reasoning why that was done, or the
Probably
method.
just trying anything.
The method of the process of trying to correct what happened to me, I obviously worsened the damage,
Okay.
and it ended up ultimately grossly disfiguring me.
And we might,
Wow.
while we're talking to you, might be able to pull up some pictures of your process, or kind of
Sure.
what you've gone through. We might kind of be able to show some of those. And this was not in the back room of someone's home.
No.
This was not somebody who wasn't licensed.
No.
This is a reputable practitioner who you trusted,
Yes.
and who had new aesthetics.
Yes.
So
And I also had the background. I knew about the products. I did feel safe.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
did feel that it was going to be a subtle,
Simple.
Yeah.
simple procedure, which turned out not to be. And the reasoning for that, I don't know. I can't explain why that was done to me.
Right.
And so, I try not to look back at that. I was just desperate to move forward and to be able to, face the world again. Before I hid for 3.5 years, I basically reclused myself because I was terrified and did not know where to go for help.
Yeah, that's so frightening. And I wanted to mention, as far as the permanent fillers, that like the silicone and some of the fillers that are permanent or last years and years and years. The only way to get them out is to surgically remove them.
Yes.
So you can't dissolve these. You
Okay.
can't. So I think it was kind of last ditch effort. Like maybe they were just try anything to water it down, dissolve it, do anything they could
I think so.
to make that go away. And you know, I'm sure the intent wasn't to hurt you, but you know,
No.
it's one of those things where you're using an illegal product.
No, it wasn't
you know?
intended. It wasn't
Yeah.
intended to hurt me. But it was, what was done should never have been done.
Right.
Right.
I
sure.
don't, you know, first, without my knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
even if I signed a consent form, I wasn't signing a consent form for a permanent filler.
Right.
So what
Right.
was done to me was done, you know, unbeknownst to me.
Right.
And so I ended up with this beautiful package of trying to figure out what to do next. And if it wasn't for my daughter, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, because
She's your angel.
she is my angel. And I did recluse myself.
Wow.
So for 3 years,
Mm.
you hid away.
I hid away.
Basically, because of, and it's on your website. Your photos are on your website, and tell everybody what your website is.
My website is savingfaceinitiative.com, and I launched this initiative in 2009. No, I'm sorry. That's when the original injections happened. In
Okay.
2016, I launched Saving Face to advocate for the safe and ethical practice of aesthetic medicine.
And we thank you
Right.
for that.
Thank
It's
you.
it's such an inspiration. So you kind of hid away for about the 3 years, and family things had happened during that time.
Yes.
Mom, dad, things had happened in your life that you couldn't be part of
No.
because of.
I was ashamed, first of all. My family did not know what had happened. My daughter knew that something happened, but I kept assuring her that it was going to be okay, and that not to worry. And basically, you know, I basically told my family that I, you know, was just very fragile, and, you know, I couldn't
See.
attend to the things I need to attend. So they
Wow.
knew that
Yeah.
I was in a very compromised situation and place, but
Had they
I pushed
seen you?
I pushed them away.
Mm.
So
Right.
they gave me grace, and well, until my daughter decided one day that it was, you know, she just wasn't, she needed her mother back. And so she took a picture of me, and she sent my picture to teaching hospitals all over the country. And
And what was her response when she is your angel.
Mm.
You were hidden away, and you were scared and depressed, and you know, it was frightening. You know, I don't know if we have the pictures up of what it was before your surgeries, but it was frightening. Our pictures are up now. So, you know, thank God she's like, Mom, I'm going to find you help.
Mm.
And she sent letters out to all these teaching facilities in the country. And tell me about the response and what happened after that.
I didn't think there would be a response. I just didn't think, you know, knowing what was there, what had happened, and what it devolved into, I didn't think there would be anybody that would be willing to help me, for many reasons. One, for liability purposes. Why would any doctor want to take something like that on?
Right.
And there was really only one doctor that did respond.
Wow.
Your other angel.
My other angel, Dr. Reza Jar, he works out of UCLA,
Okay.
and he is I have to say, in my opinion, probably the best craniofacial reconstructive surgeon in the world. And when he met Sophia and I did, you know, fly in, and he didn't know how he was going to help me, but he did say that he would help me.
Okay.
And it took a bit of time for him to, he conferred with other doctors and presented my case to a congress of doctors from around the world, and one other doctor stepped up to help him, Dr. Bryan. He's also out of UCLA Harbor. He is a microvascular surgeon, and I would say the top microvascular surgeon in the world. in my opinion, both of them. And they gave me a chance at a new life.
So tell us kind of how many surgeries have you had total to today's date? You just had a surgery 4 weeks ago and you look amazing.
No.
But tell us how many surgeries you've had to date. And I want you kind of to
Go through the process.
go through that process quickly if you can.
Sure. So this all began in 2013. My first surgery was mainly to lift the forehead off of the eyes. So when people see my pictures, there's a lot of people that say, oh, that isn't the same woman, you know, when you compare my picture from before to my picture after. It is the same woman, and the reason why I don't have hair is because in order to see every day, I would tape my eyes up into my hairline because it was so heavy and falling over my eyes that I couldn't see unless I taped my eyes up.
Wow.
And
Your forehead,
so
the forehead.
the forehead, you know, basically from the lid up into the hairline, so I could walk. So every day I was ripping that off and putting new tape, so it was ripping my hair out at the same time. So that's the explanation for that. But the first surgery was intended to lift as much of the bulky area off of my eyes so that I could see until they decided what the plan was.
Okay.
So that surgery I went in with vision in both eyes. However, I did wake up blind in my right eye irreparably, and the reason what that was explained to me, and the doctors concurred that this was the most logical explanation, was that during the dislodging, something, or during the debulking process, something dislodged, pressed against my optic nerve, caused loss of blood flow, and that was it. So, one instant of loss of blood
Something
flow.
moved when they moved the tissue.
I'm irreparably blind in my right eye. And so that was a very frightening experience. But I was still thankful. I could see from one eye, and I was still thankful that there were doctors that were willing to help me. It was a big adjustment. My daughter,
Sure.
my daughter got me a little service dog, and actually, because I don't have a depth perception,
Right.
so, and a little bit of peripheral. I have a little bit of this eye is visually compromised as well peripherally. But anyway, she trained this little service dog to sit down as I walked. If there was a level that was raised in the sidewalk or a curb, to sit down and look up at me so I would know to step higher or,
Wow.
you know, to pay attention.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, we love our
amazing.
puppies, don't we?
It was
I love
pretty
that.
cool.
Aw,
So I got
that's
through the going blind part like miraculously. I have to really credit most of how I got through all of it to God, because I know He did not let me go for 1 minute. He did
Nope.
not. He was like,
Amazing.
it's time. Okay, this is over now. I'm gonna take you, and I do feel like I was ripped from hell, and that I landed into heaven when I got to UCLA, and I felt safe, and I knew that someone that became a doctor for the right reasons
Right.
was going to help me,
That's awesome.
and
That's awesome.
and they did. And
Yeah.
so then subsequently after that, I had another, so far I've had 9
9
surgeries. I don't
surgeries.
believe I will need any further surgeries.
It's amazing.
They did do a partial facial transplant
Oh.
where it was a 17-hour surgery where both Dr. Boyd and Dr. Jarahi removed my forehead down to the bone and took a piece of my back and microvascularly reconnected it,
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
which is like,
Really,
which had never been done before for that specific purpose or reason.
right.
It was like they didn't really have a book to open and say, how can we help her? They just made this plan, and again, I had to sign my life away
Of course.
because I was made aware of all of the unknown risks that there were involved.
But this had never been done before.
No,
You know,
unprecedented.
this is something that you're taking a piece of your scapular skin and
Yes.
flapping it up here and finding vessels and attaching
Never
them, and
had never been done.
this is cutting edge.
Wow.
It was
Thank
cutting
God
edge.
for them.
I
God
know.
for them.
Thank God for them. And
And-
it looks beautiful.
It
You'll
does.
never need
And
Botox
it's,
again.
and it's not my, yeah, this is my back. So,
Isn't that crazy?
and that's okay with me. And I'll never need Botox.
Never need Botox. It's just
again,
perfectly
which is
smooth.
how it all started to begin with. But,
Wow.
I am so thankful. So then the surgeries that followed were that. So I had to the first surgery with the when they put my microvascularly reconnected my was like, you know, out here with it was a big piece of skin and tissue and
Oh, we have it up on
You do-
it's the second picture.
so I had
that's
to, you know, between each surgery, I had to wait, you know, depending 3 to 6 months before I could have the next surgery, so that everything would settle, and
Right.
you know, everything was assimilated, and everything was. They knew that it was going to live. They knew that, you know, the blood was flowing. There were areas that did die, and you know, I don't know. When I look back, it's amazing. God doesn't even let me remember how difficult it was. It was extremely difficult,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
but I had angels all around me the whole time,
Yeah.
and
Sophia.
I had
Sophia was with you.
Sophia, and I had faith.
Mm-hmm.
So then they obviously took, you know, they opened it back up, and then they, I don't know if they shaved it down to bring it to the level of my bone structure, but whatever. Very complicated surgeries, all the way up until my last surgery being August 4th, which was for the nerve endings. So the nerve endings began to sort of, because nerves always grow,
Uh-huh.
they had decompressed them, but they started to grow and branch off. So I had these feelings of little ants running under my skin,
Oh.
and I couldn't reach the itch
It's too deep.
because it wasn't my skin.
You're right.
Right.
Oh,
That
your
was
skin's numb,
itching.
so it's just it's phantom itch.
It's the nerve.
It's they're phantom
They
ants.
explained it to me sort of like if an amputee, you know, if a limb is, you know,
chop.
amputated, that there's those nerves that continue to grow into the limb that's not there. So that's what was happening.
Wow.
So this last surgery, which was August 4th, was another very long 9-hour surgery where they went in, decompressed all of the nerve endings, and took a piece of, they did a fat transfer and put a fat transfer on the end of every single nerve ending so that I shouldn't have that problem again. And it was a success. And they were able to remove what they could safely remove of the remaining filler that was in my cheek area, in my jawline. They were describing it as almost like a cauliflower log that was just in there, and some of it had even migrated into my neck.
Wow.
So they were able to just what they could get safely, they got, and so that I think I'm finished
Awesome.
with surgeries.
You're a
And
miracle.
What a story.
I feel blessed and thankful, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I will never have the face that I had before, but I've learned so many things from this journey, and probably most people wouldn't maybe have made it through as I did.
Right.
But I
No.
think that God left me here for reasons, and one of them is so that I can share my story, so we can make sure this doesn't happen to other people.
So what do you have to
Absolutely.
tell the injectors out there?
That's the main people I want to reach, are the doctors, the practitioners, the injectors. I did do a patient safety campaign with the I just went
Medical.
American Society of Plastic Surgeons. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And it was for their patient safety campaign. And it was highly recommended that before you have anyone inject you, that they should be board certified surgeons, plastic surgeons. And at the time, I was very strongly convicted about that. However, I do believe that nurse practitioners, of course, that are going through intensive training programs, and that's all they do, can possibly even be better than the plastic surgeons whose primary jobs are cutting.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And they do that sort of as a side thing.
It's so easy to say, pick your doctor well. And I even get comments on my Instagram about people about, I'm only going to go to a plastic surgeon.
Correct.
And I say, well, we fixed a lot of botch jobs from
Exactly.
people who don't do it all the time.
Right.
So those of us who do it all the time and are educated in it and teach it, we're much more well versed than people who do it as a fun little hobby, and I'll do surgery and then I'll throw some filler in.
Or not
and
even
it's
as
not
a
that
hobby.
they're
They just do it just because they're forced to do it,
Right.
because the patient requires that they do it.
Yeah, and they make money off of surgeries or something. So that's not their money maker.
But that's
and
why
we get that.
and that's why I ended up contacting you, because I stay on top of everything. I do my homework now. If someone wants to ask me what are the questions that I need to ask before, I can just
right.
Roll 'em right
talk
off.
forever.
Yeah.
But when I saw what you were doing, because I was looking for people who were concentrating and who cared about patient safety, and I found you, and I saw all of what you were doing. It was like, I need to talk to this woman, and
We always say God brought us together.
we need to. Yes,
Definitely did.
That we've said that. Like there's a reason we've come together.
100%.
And when I speak at conferences on maybe adverse events, Carol will come up after me and talk and share her story, and it makes so much sense. When you're talking about adverse events, and she's had one of the worst adverse events you could have, or the worst that you could have.
It's good to
with
hear
some of
from
these
both
fillers.
sides.
You
It
have
is.
to.
Unfortunately, I have to be on this side, but it's okay. Like I
Yeah.
said,
There's a purpose for you.
I
to be
feel
on that side.
obligated, and
Thank
if anybody out there wants to blame me and say, well, she did it to herself, go ahead. I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
I did not choose for that to happen to me.
It's one of those things I wanted to bring up, like these fillers that you can't take out. You have some people have them in their face, and they're there for years. They're fine. Other people will have an inflammatory reaction, and it's this chronic reaction. That's what you built up,
Yep.
and you can't stop that reaction. The body sees this foreign substance, and it's going to react to it.
No, it's true.
So you just don't know who's going to get that reaction, and it does. It gets big and small and big and small. They get nodules that come
And
up
it's
and go
horrible.
away. It is.
I have, as you
got
do,
the
I
worst
have
of it.
so many people contacting me, begging for advice and help and where to go, and no one really is interested, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But there are doctors and there are practitioners out there that can help them for the most part. There's
Right.
always, if there's a complication, there is a way to correct that complication properly. And again, like you, while you're injecting, could have a complication while you're injecting.
Sure.
And if a doctor or a practitioner or anybody that's doing these procedures doesn't know how to handle it, then there's a problem.
Shouldn't be doing it if you don't know how to
Shouldn't be
handle it.
handling it.
Definitely.
Yeah, the other half to injecting is knowing what to do if there's a problem.
Always. That's the name of the game now.
Yeah.
Back 2004, we didn't know as much as
Right.
we do now.
Exactly.
Definitely all the new education, all of this stuff is important to know. It's not to scare people, but I think it's an awareness that there has to be safety and education involved in all of this. I think a lot of people, especially jumping into the field, it is hard to jump into the field nowadays. People want to just get right into it and
Make the money.
make
Yeah.
the money, the lucrative aspect of it. And I tell nurses and doctors that are trying to get into this field, I say, you know what, really don't look at that first year as trying to make any money. You should spend it like a normal practitioner who comes into medicine. Your
Learning.
first year is
Learning.
an internship
like a
year.
mentorship.
Don't take the
Absolutely.
money, maybe get paid really low, but learn try to learn from somebody so you are getting educated, because there are so many, I think a lot of people jump into places where they're like, oh, we'll train you, and they literally get 2 hours of training and they're like, okay, you can go ahead and inject now. And
some people get too confident and they cross lines that they shouldn't be crossing,
really
and then it becomes too late.
yeah, I mean, people,
Exactly.
I mean, remember, I know the story. You said you went to a training and the person that gotten trained and they were doing radius on the nose, and they're like a new injector.
Had no idea.
No idea.
That
And
nurse had no idea that it wasn't dissolvable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you don't know what you don't know.
people don't know what they don't know, and so the whole goal is to, you know, have people keep questioning, keep educating themselves about what's out there and what's safe. You know, I would definitely say those permanent fillers are not something that anybody should be really playing around with. I mean, I know patients are always asking, don't you have anything more permanent? Don't you have permanent?
Yeah.
You have to understand there's ramifications to permanency, because
Certainly.
it is permanent.
Yeah, but
You
law
know.
practitioners are big on some of these, the PMMA, and they use them all the time. And I don't know if they've had problems or not, but I have patients in my practice that have had it put in, and we're trying to deal with a lot of the nodules that you can't take out unless you cut them out.
Yep.
So I choose as a provider, and it's a provider's choice.
It is.
And I choose not to use any of those.
Yep.
I don't, because I want to sleep at night, and I want to make sure that nothing like this happens to one of my patients years down the road or months down the road.
Yep.
As a practitioner, we need to do what's best for our patients.
Yes.
We need to be patient-centric, and we need to focus on you
Yes.
and do what's safe for you. And that means we need to know everything about what we're putting in someone.
Yep.
We need to know the molecular structure. We need to know the pathophysiology. We need to know everything. And if you don't inject
Well,
it.
if you don't, then you're experimenting.
Don't
Yes.
inject it.
And nobody should be experimented on.
Exactly. No.
Not
they
this day
shouldn't.
and age.
Not a patient who is trusting you as their provider.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Carol, thank you
I know.
so much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much for being here.
I'm
You're an
very-
inspiration. Love you,
Such an
girl.
inspirational
Thank you
story.
so much.
Grateful.
Hopefully all of you guys take that to heart. You know, when you touch every single one of your patients, it's literally you're touching them in all different aspects. I mean, how many of us do a lot of psychology
Right.
as well as
Yeah.
helping them, you know, really with the confidence in that aspect of it. And when you run into it, I know, you know, when I gave a patient a ptosis, even a little droopy eye, you feel bad.
You feel horrible.
You feel so
Yes.
horrible. And so, you know, even that, you know, that ethical boundary and that ethical oath that we take in medicine not to do any harm, you
Right.
know, it really needs to stand out. And for practitioners, it's as
First,
much
do no harm. And then one more thing I wanted to say, and I
Yes.
know you agree with me about this. I think that there should be a governing board to oversee this practice of medicine,
This specialty.
just this practice.
Yeah.
I agree. I think aesthetics is getting so big.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of rules governing it.
No.
You can just pick up a syringe of dermal filler if you're an RN or higher and inject it.
Right.
So there's no classes or certifications required. So I think that national certification, a governing board, is a very, very good idea. So we have standardization.
Yep.
And we have something that we have a foundation that people can work off of, because I don't care if you're a doctor or a nurse, if you're not trained properly, you can really cause a problem. So the degree doesn't mean everything.
No.
It means the amount of training you have. I
And
absolutely agree.
especially with that specific filler, how many, that's a question, how many injections have you done with that filler?
Yep.
I mean, that's just one question, but
Right.
for sure.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you being here. We
Thank
wanted to before we wrap this up, we wanted to talk about our new contest.
Yes.
And we wanted to talk about it is going to be to win two tickets to the Aesthetic Show.
Aesthetic show.
So, which
Another
is
two
kinda cool.
tickets.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
conference. Learns a lot. Keep
know.
getting educated. So another good conference.
So one person's going to win 2 tickets to the show, so you can take a friend with you. Follow at theaestheticimmersion.com. Follow me at Injection Expert. Follow Dr. Guns and Needles. Tag 3 providers on your on our AI IG giveaway post, and comment if you currently use threads in your practice. So we'd like to know if you if you currently use threads in your practice, and that's going to go from the from today, September 1st, to October 4th. So you have the next month to do that. And we are going to be at the Aesthetic Show in booth 717. So come say hi to us. So the Aesthetic Immersion is going to be there.
And lastly, the winner of our contest from last time for the Aesthetic Show, August 4th one.
Drum roll.
Winner is Brittany Crosdell.
Yay, Brittany!
At NP Brit.
NP_Brit. So if you know Brit, call her. Let her know she won.
We'll see you at the Aesthetic Show.
Yeah, we'll see you. Hey, Brit, come say hi to us.
You get 2 tickets to the Aesthetic Show.
Yeah,
so
congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
so
Thank
much.
you so much. We could have gone on for 2 hours with Carol.
I know.
Thank you so much.
So much I could have
Thank you
asked
for
more.
what you do.
We appreciate it. So remember to tune in on October 6th for AI Live. We will be having Mint Threads.
Yep, the National Sales
Manager
We'll
here with us.
all everything Threads, because that is going to be a trend, and you guys need to know what you don't
All about
know.
Learn about it. Well, you don't know what you don't know.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Welcome to AI Live.